Hey everyone, Matt Gunn here, RCGroups.com. Welcome to another video review. Today we're going to be taking a close look at one of the most talked about quad rotors of all time, the DJI Inspire 1. Now, DJI describes the Inspire as their most advanced technology combined with an easy to use, all-in-one flying platform. And they go on to say it's everything you need for aerial filmmaking integrated into an elegant, ready-to-fly system. The Inspire has a number of unique features that have yet to be seen on competing aircraft, such as a sonar positioning system, 4K camera, and an optional dual transmitter system that allows the pilot and gimbal operator to work independently from the same platform. Now, up until now, you had to build dual transmitter aerial rigs like this by purchasing most components separately. And I can say confidently that for the most part, the UAV community is really excited to see all of these features in a ready-to-fly package. So we're going to do this review in two parts, and in the first part, which you're watching now, we'll be going over all of the Inspire's features as well as getting it ready for its maiden flight. And in our second review, we'll test all of the Inspire 1's flight functions in the field. But before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, geekbuying.com, for making this review possible. Geekbuying.com has literally hundreds of multi-rotor platforms, parts, and aerial equipment in stock, including the Inspire 1 single and dual transmitter versions. Their shipping is very fast, and I received mine within 5 days of ordering. So a big thanks goes out to geekbuying.com for working with us on this review. Okay, let's go ahead and get started and take a look at DJI's flagship quad rotor, the Inspire 1. Alright, so this is how the Inspire ships in this plastic case. Now the case is a white, thin plastic on the inside and this harder sort of injection molded, I would guess, plastic on the outside here. It's a decent case. It's got zippers around the side, but it is not the best for, let's say, throwing in the baggage hold of a commercial airliner. These feet on the bottom here have been known to break off. A few people have reported. But again, this case is perfect for traveling to the field, going to job sites, or whatever it is you want to do with your Inspire. Let's go ahead and take a look on the inside here. And you will notice that there are two transmitters. I did not purchase this as the dual transmitter version. I purchased this transmitter separately. And there's a good space for them here. Everything fits really well inside. Let's go ahead and take a look at your battery compartments here. You have 3 spots to put actually you have 4 spots to put batteries, as well as 2 underneath each transmitter. Now this is the flight battery that comes with it. It's the TB47, and you can see that I have this protective sticker over here on each side, which is for cold weather. Now it says to attach to the battery when flight environment temperature is below 5 degrees Celsius. Remove this cover when it's above 5. So the only problem with this is once you put these on here, it's not a very good fit inside of the battery sleeves and inside of the Inspire. It's kind of a tight fit. You got to wiggle it down. So the battery stickers are coming off on the side. Not really a big deal, just worth noting. Alright, let's go ahead and remove the Inspire here from the case, and I'll show you what's inside the case as far as storage goes. So we have our battery holding compartments, like I said. We have our propellers, spare props that have never been taken out of the plastic that Velcro back here. I also have the flight props underneath here across. We have the gimbal case that mounts right here, as well as some pamphlets and stuff like that. The charger mounts right here under Velcro. And basically, any other wiring is sort of fitted wherever it'll go. I have the USB cables for my pad here, and the Nexus that I use, and some other cables on either side. There's no real place for some of these cables. You just kind of put them wherever they'll fit and then put the Inspire over top. So good case, great start. I think this is perfect for shipping with the Inspire, and it works well. It'll protect it. You can put this in the back of your car, in the back of your truck, and not worry about the Inspire getting damaged while transporting. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the Inspire in its travel mode. All right, so this is how the Inspire fits in the case in travel mode. And the way to get it up to flight mode is to switch the transmitter landing gear lever 4 times and it will move up into flight mode. Now it has to be on a flat surface. It can't be really rough because the landing gear are going to slide in and out. So let's go ahead and show you how the Inspire transforms from transportation mode into flight mode. All right, the first thing we'll do is turn on our transmitter by pressing it once and then holding it for 2 seconds. And now we'll do the same with the Inspire. To transform the Inspire into flight mode, just turn the gear switch 4 times. The gimbal is stored in this protective case. Just pop the top and pull the gimbal out. Now there's also a protective cover over the attachment point here. You just pop that off. And then install your gimbal on the Inspire by turning this lock ring counterclockwise to remove the cover. And install your gimbal with the white line facing forward, matching up with the white line on the Inspire. The Inspire gimbal runs through a startup sequence that allows it to understand where it is in conjunction with the aircraft's nose and to center itself. The Inspire comes with 2 lens covers, a neutral density filter which we have installed here, and a clear cover as well. Now the clear cover does a good job of protecting, while the neutral density filter cuts down on the light that is being transferred to the sensor and can help with vibrations if your rig is experiencing some vibrations. The Inspire's gimbal is held in place by 2 rubber damper balls up front and 2 in the back, and they offer some shock protection from sudden movements as well as vibrations induced by the propellers and the motors. One area that I was surprised to see were sprung landing gear, which allow the Inspire to absorb a little bit of the shock when landing. Now, as I stated earlier, DJI does include 2 sets of flight props with the Inspire. They are 13 by 4.5 propellers, and they spin on the motor shaft just like the Phantoms do, with a clockwise and counterclockwise spin. You can use the prop lock. Some people were reporting issues with the props coming off in flight, and I've found that just by tightening them down really tightly, there's really no chance of them coming off. If you keep them loose, you could lose one in flight, and the prop locks are available, but I'm not running them, and I'll take that risk. However, you should weigh the options and fly with or without the prop locks at your own risk. Unique to the Inspire is a dedicated sonar system called the DJI Vision Positioning System. Now this unit allows you to fly indoors and has a dedicated chip that processes information based on ground patterns as well as objects on the ground, and allows you to fly without your GPS indoors up to about 2.5 meters in height. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the DJI Pilot app. This is a software app specifically designed for the Inspire One, and unlike software for previous models such as the Phantom, the Wukong, A2, Ace 1, etc., This one's only available on mobile platforms. So you download it for free from either Google Play or iTunes Store, and you just run it on your iPad, or in this case the Nexus 7 that we're using, or a similar Android or Apple smartphone. So it's a lot to digest. The app has a lot of features. It's best to familiarize yourself with it before you fly so you know exactly where to go once you get your Inspire in the air. Now you have 4 options across the bottom. You have your camera, map, academy, and user center. Now your user center is going to contain photos and videos and such that you've taken. The academy gives you manuals and information related to the Inspire. The map obviously is going to show you where you are on the map. And the camera, which we'll go to now, is sort of your home base. It's where you're going to do all your functions related to testing and tuning, as well as flight operations and such. So let's go ahead and start across the top. You have your home button here that allows you to go back to the very first page. And this is sort of your splash screen back to the camera. Your mode information. Now clicking on this is also going to give you information related to the flight controller, such as setting your maximum altitude, setting your maximum distance, beginner mode, which only allows for GPS control, reset all your settings, enable multiple flight modes, and intelligent orientation control, as well as advanced settings. Now your advanced settings are going to be able to tune your gain if you want to soften the Inspire up a little bit in the air. Change your fail-safe to fly back at a specific altitude. You can monitor your sensors, and you can change the expo on your channels. Alright, so we'll go back to the home page here, or the main screen. Now your next one over is going to show your satellites, and right now we have 0 because we're inside. If you click the Safe to Fly screen, this is going to take you to your aircraft status page and allow you to do a number of options, such as update the firmware, which we'll show you how to do here in a minute. It's going to give you status indication, calibrate your compass if it's necessary, your flight mode, your remote control modes, all sorts of information related to the aircraft in its current status, as well as enter travel mode. You can just, instead of clicking 4 times on your transmitter, you can enter travel mode right there, and we'll close that out. And moving across, we have your radio control settings. So this is where you're going to set up if you use a second transmitter to control the gimbal or not. You can also change your mode. Here we are. So you can change it to mode 1, 2, 3, and then do a custom. And we'll back that up. As well as calibrate the transmitter and your gimbal wheel speed. Now this is going to control how fast the camera tilts up and down if you're using the gimbal wheel to control it. Moving on, we have the image transmission settings. Now these are all your channels, 13, 14 through 20, and they're going to show where the best quality is. So right now it says current channel, and we're on channel 20, so it does hop around. Last time I logged on, it was on channel 16. It will move around and find the best channel, and it shows you right here. I think it's also because we are inside of my office. We've got Wi-Fi going, we've got the router going and such, so it's going to show the RSSI receiver signal strength indicator for all the channels. So you also have some options here for HDMI, and you can hook up another monitor to display HDMI as well. Alright, moving on, we have our battery info over here, and this is going to tell you how each cell is in your battery, how many times it's been charged, the temperature, the total capacity, remaining power, voltage, and then you can set your aircraft warning sequences for low battery warning and critical battery warning. So we have some additional settings if you click the settings wheel on the right hand side, such as units of measurement. You can change to show a graph over your picture. You can show video captions, the grid, quick review, anti-flickers at 50 Hertz, your video format NTSC, file index mode, that's for starting a new file or just continuing on one if you don't want to have a bunch of files. You can reset all your camera settings, you can format the card, adjust the gimbal roll. Sometimes the gimbal may be slightly skewed in flight, you can adjust that. You can also calibrate your gimbal. Here's your tutorial. If you click tutorial and you go back to your main screen, it's going to overlay basically what everything does. So it's telling you right here all of what's available on the top. If you press it again, it's going to tell you down the sides, and then hit it again, and it's going to tell you everything else. Very helpful in remembering how to use this app effectively. Let's go ahead and take a look at the C1 controller, which is DJI's designation for the transmitter that is included with the Inspire 1. Right off the bat, you'll see the large holder here for pads and smartphones, and it can be adjusted by pressing the button here on the back and then pushing it down on the pad to clamp it in securely. You can also flip up these two pieces here for your smartphone so it'll fit nicely. And the holder can be removed pretty easily by turning this knurled screw here, as well as removing this flathead screw on this side, and it'll come right off. So, first off, we'll take a look at how to turn it on and off. Press the button once will just show you a battery level indication. Pressing it once and then holding it for 2 seconds will turn it on, and then same for turning it off. Now the switch over here on the right side is for raising and lowering the landing gear, and then turning it 4 times top to bottom will stow the Inspire 1 into travel mode. The button here in the center is a return to home, which you press and hold to initiate return to home. On the top left and right are a number of buttons and dials that can adjust camera settings as well as flight functions. This dial will allow you to rotate your camera up and down. This is your record button for the video record of your camera. And then this button, it's difficult to see, it says P, A, and F. Now these are flight modes, and P is full GPS. A is attitude, which is a term coined by DJI to show that it stabilizes the plane in flight, and it also holds altitude, but it does not hold position with GPS. And then F is your function mode, and that's going to be your intelligent orientation control, which is a function we'll go over in the flight review. On the top right, we have 3 buttons here that are very similar to what's on the left. Your bottom roller is for changing the gimbal type from FPV to free to follow. This is going to be your review button, and over here we have your camera button. So also, if you press the review button and you roll this, you can scroll through your photos that you've taken, and then it also has a press down feature that allows you to view when you're over the picture or video you want to review. On the back of the C1 transmitter are a pair of buttons designated C1 and C2. Now these buttons can be changed in the app to a number of different functions. Right now I have C1 set to center the gimbal, nose forward, and C2 changes the gimbal type from FPV to fixed mode. And last, we have a number of ports on the top of the C1 transmitter. The first one is a USB for attaching to your tablet or smartphone. The second one is a CAN bus that is currently not being implemented but is supposed to at some point. Your third is a USB for attaching to your computer. And the fourth on the right side is an HDMI for attaching to a monitor so you can view your camera feed via a larger screen. In summary, I'll say the C1 is a great transmitter. It feels good in your hands. It's solid. In typical DJI fashion, they've taken the left gimbal and they've made it spring-loaded for center. So if you push down to descend and just let go, it's always going to go back to a hover mode. And they did this with the Phantom as well. I like that a lot, especially so you don't have to concentrate on centering the gimbal to make the aircraft hover. Alright, so the last thing we have to do before we fly is to update the firmware to the latest version. And unfortunately, I think that DJI took a slight step backwards because it's a little more difficult to update the firmware on the Inspire than it was on the Phantoms and the Wukong controllers of the past. You used to be able to just plug your machine or controller into your computer and then update it through the software app, but now you've got to use your card, your SD card, and you've got to insert it into the gimbal here, and you've also got to hook it up to the transmitter in order to update the firmware. So the first thing that you're going to do is download the firmware onto an SD card. Then you'll take your SD card and you'll insert it into the camera like so. Then you'll turn on your transmitter and you'll turn on the Inspire, and it will run through the update sequence and it will beep continuously for 10 minutes or more, which is extremely annoying, but that's what it does. And then when it's done beeping, it will generate a TXT text file which will tell you if it was successful or not. So once it's done, that's successful, you're going to need to update the transmitter now. Now this is a little more difficult because you either need a SD card reader that you can plug right in, or you can use a USB zip drive, a small USB plug-in drive, because your only other option is to plug this USB port on the back of the transmitter directly into the gimbal and then turn everything on, and then your gimbal is going to want to fight to turn here and you've got this USB cable hanging out the back. Not a good idea. So I would suggest using a USB thumb drive, zip drive, whatever you want to call it. Plug it straight into the back here. It uses the exact same firmware update file that the Inspire uses, and you just let it run through and it'll beep continuously until it's done, and you'll know when it stops beeping. So that's how you update your transmitter and your Inspire. And by the way, the battery also updates simultaneously for the firmware on the battery when you update the Inspire. Now it says you can either remove the file or leave it on there. I leave it on there because I want just to have the file there in case I ever need it. It just sits on the SD card and doesn't cause any problems. Alright, now that I've shown you an in-depth look at the Inspire 1, it's time to take it out in the field and do the full flight review. And in the second half coming soon, we're going to bind another transmitter to the gimbal, we'll calibrate the compass, and do all the final prep work before we fly. And I'll explain what each flight mode does, as well as explore the gimbal's different modes. And finally, we'll shoot some video and photos under the different camera settings that are available. We'll also test the automated takeoff and landing features as well. So, thanks for watching this video. There's a link to the full written review in the YouTube description section below. And stay tuned for our second half of the DJI Inspire 1 review on RCGroups.com.